And the TV is starting up. And hello, Kat. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Alex. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Hey,
Hi,
girlfriend.
Kat. Hi, how are you?
And here now is, I'm sure, is Jim. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. His voice is.
He's got that sexy
Oh, look
voice.
at you tonight. You're dressed, and people can see this because they're getting us on
Live stream.
Live stream. They can see that Jim is dressed like a lumberjack
He
tonight.
is. He looks like a lumberjack.
I'm not dressed like a lumberjack. I'm just
Is that a bathrobe?
I'm just wearing my Canadian shit.
Ah. He's
Did
going
you
for the Canadian look.
Did you say Canadian shit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
is that what they call the garb up there? Is
that's right.
Canadian
It's the official.
shit?
It's the official Canadian shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What happened to the picture of? You still there, Kat?
I'm still here.
Yeah, but you're. Oh, there he is. There he is.
That's Kat?
Yeah. That's the cat. Yes, live long and prosper.
Hi, Kat. I'm not allowed
I
to be
can't see
seen.
you, Alex.
Oh, wait a minute. You know,
Turn off your camera and restart it.
let me see here. There we go. Now, can you see me yet? There we go.
No.
You should be able to see
spinning.
me now.
It's better. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're waiting for other people to call because, after all, tonight this is being broadcast on video.
Hi.
See?
Jim.
Okay, now get out of here. Get out of here. Do you have the same problems with your wife, Jim?
No, she's in Italy.
No. I mean, I don't mean right now, but like you're there and you're watching a movie and it's romantic, and she says, "Why don't you ever do that?"
No,
No,
I don't have that problem.
you're always cuddly and everything.
Yes.
See?
Oh, jeez. What's wrong with you people?
Well, then there's only one answer. I hate her.
We have an anniversary.
Give
coming up.
it time. We've been together like 23 years. So
So when did you stop hating each other?
Alex,
Yes.
I didn't get to talk to you a whole lot the other day. We had just gotten in, but when the hell are you going to come to Vegas?
Vegas?
What do you mean, by myself?
There's no other place that you can meet. It has to be Vegas.
Well, I mean, maybe next year for the Gabapalooza.
Gabapalooza?
that's what we were calling it. Yeah.
Well, why don't we hold that? I think we should all go to New Orleans.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
You know. Are you there, Phil?
Yeah, hi.
Somehow is anybody see Phil yet? No, there
see
he
Phil.
is. There he
Hey,
is,
Phil.
finally.
Hey, Phil.
Hi, Phil. Live long and prosper.
Oh, you can do that. You could have been a rabbi.
Yeah.
do that.
No, she can't do it. She can't do
I
it.
can't do it.
That's another reason I should divorce her. She can't do it. Can you? You can do it, can't you, Jim? Live long and prosper.
Oh, wow.
I
Look
can't
at
do it.
Jim.
I don't know if I can do it with the other hand. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. See, you got it.
That looks like a gang symbol.
It does.
It is. Well, those are gang colors that Jim is wearing.
Jailhouse.
Up in Canada, those are gang colors.
Do you have
right.
do you have a teardrop near your eye?
Vulcan represent, yo.
And that's because your main Vulcan was Jewish. He stole it from his
Yeah.
house.
Are you out of your Vulcan mind?
Yeah.
So anyway, so we need more people because it's TV night, and we don't want to look like we have a Canadian, a Texan, and two ugly Jews.
Yeah, I had a good time this afternoon. I went to the happy hour at Ruth's Chris and met up with a friend of mine there, two friends, and we had a nice time. It's almost like being in Vegas.
Did you get
Whoa.
Did you get an estimate on the steak at Ruth's Chris? Ruth's Chris.
I used to go there and have the steak. And what I would do is I'd split a ribeye with Faye. She'd take the
bone, and you'd take the rest
petite
of it.
cut, and I'd take the New York piece with the bone.
Yeah.
And now, after 5 o'clock, they have a hamburger, which is made from, and Marjorie would like this, it's made from the steak, $8, including, all the sides. And then an ahi tuna, an ample portion of seared ahi tuna for $8.
Yeah.
And you can have a really nice meal. ahi tuna and hamburger for
Under
16
20.
bucks.
Yeah.
Now, why did the cat just black out?
Yeah, there it is.
Sorry, I was changing something.
Oh,
Is Phil extra loud to anybody else, or is that just me?
Let me adjust then.
He
is
was
that
quiet
better?
to begin with, but
turn
Is that
down,
better?
turn down just a little bit more.
right.
Just a little bit more.
Yeah, it could be a Skype thing.
It could be a Skype thing. You never know. Do you have it on automatic volume on your Skype?
No, but I'm learning more about the board and how to control the sound.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure you can buy a very expensive manual somewhere.
Do you have a board?
I got a sound engineer to come over. And around the corner from where I live is a recording studio. So, and they give guitar lessons and people record, and they have maybe 10 rooms where people will do their thing in.
So they have a course on how to make your Skype call sound better?
No, I just asked them. I said, you got somebody that knows how to use one of these things? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, okay. And I hired him, and he came over and he set me up.
And he taught you.
I'm still
And he taught me.
I'm still using my, what is this? God, I don't know who made this thing. I forget now. It says EPM on it, but
It is TV night, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it is
or
TV night.
OPM.
Okay.
what?
I just wanted to make sure it was TV night.
Why'd you want to make sure it was TV night?
I wanted to show my cock.
That's a cock you picked up in Las Vegas.
That's right. That's pure Las Vegas cock.
Everybody who is not listening to us on the radio, if you immediately go over to the TV, you'll get to see Jim's cock.
What did Will Farrell say? But his zipper was down and his penis was hanging out. He said, but nobody saw.
Nobody saw anything. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
But
Bada boom.
yeah. How's everything down in Florida, Mark?
Oh, it's nice down here. How about where you are?
It was
Alex?
snowing all day.
I've heard, yeah. God.
But no,
Tomorrow's gonna
but
be
you
in
know
the
something?
50s.
I loved every minute of it because it was the day before. Well, actually, we are now officially. It now is officially spring, and just prior to spring, and while it turned to spring, it was still somewhat snowing. And to say it's snowing on the first spring day is a wonderful thing.
And tomorrow it's going to be in the 50s.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. Damien's joined us. Hello, Damien.
Yeah, I came to see Jim's cock. Where the hell is it?
There it is.
That is a
Is
chicken,
that
not a cock.
circumcised?
That
That
is
is a hen, not a cock.
That's a hen, not a cock.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Looks
I
like
came
a
over
cock.
this
Wait a minute.
way
No,
to
no,
see
wait a
your
minute, wait a
cock,
minute, wait a
and
minute, wait a
all
minute.
you showed me was a hen.
Do hens?
Guy in Vegas assured me it was cock.
Looks like cock to me.
Now wait a minute. Hold it. Let's see its head. It has a comb. Isn't that a rooster?
Let me see.
Well, that's a
its head.
cock.
Hens have combs too.
Now, how can you tell that is he when he was being told he was sold a cock, and instead he was sold a hen?
Bill of goods.
You know, people are tuning in like crazy to see an obscene.
They want to see his cock, man.
We want to see it. Take it off. Take it off.
Yeah.
I dare you. I double dare you.
Now, that's his soundproofing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Unzip the pants.
He talks into the cock.
Yeah. You should put a microphone in the cock's mouth.
He just did.
Speak into the cock, Jim. Speak into the cock.
Yeah. So, the weather's really good down in Florida, and the weather's probably wonderful out in California.
It's pretty nice. I wore a T-shirt at 7:00 at night to walk over to Ruth's Chris and back.
Can't you just go to like McDonald's? What is wrong with you? Why do you always have to go to the
It's
most
cheaper
expensive?
to go to Ruth's Chris and have the happy hour, except for the cocktails, than it is to go to McDonald's.
Speaking of cocktails, Jim.
Okay, let me tell you, a cocktail.
Yeah.
Is that that's a cocktail that you met in Las Vegas, huh?
Yeah.
I had to walk all the way down Fremont, all the way down Las Vegas Boulevard to find this.
Do you know you could have probably bought that somewhere in Revelstoke?
No, it can't.
Really?
Definitely
Yeah.
in New York, you could buy
It wouldn't have been legal.
That's right.
Now, by the way, what about my thing about cheap crowns, huh?
I sent you. Kat and I were discussing it, and I sent you on Facebook Messenger basically what we came up with.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Let me go to Facebook Messenger. What you came up with?
we were having a conversation, and that's
Vito's used crowns in Queens
used crowns.
and use one a crown.
There
Yeah.
you go, Alex.
We can get use a crown.
Used.
that's
From
right.
deposed royalty.
Well, now here's
Is
the
this a
thing.
used
Okay.
USED?
What?
USED?
Used.
Used. Like
Oh,
old.
Yeah.
Get you as a crown.
Oh,
We can
use
get you
a
as
crown. I see. I said.
Oh, you said used. I thought they were old crowns that were being
Well, that's what
remade.
we're saying.
that's
They'll
what
go
they're
find
saying.
somebody who's got one, take it out of their
No,
mouth.
okay, but now wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Hey, it could have been used crown. The guy was from New York, and that was his accent.
Let me explain the
Exactly.
crown, and for everybody's wondering which tooth it is, it's
wanna see, Alex.
Anyway. That's the ability to watch this thing on TV, and you
Live stream. Yeah.
You can see his cock, and you can see my mouth. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Here's the deal. They take gold or metal or whatever, and they make a crown, and then they cover it in porcelain. Now, what has happened with my crown is the porcelain is chipping off. All right?
Put a diamond in it.
Well, wait a minute. If in the beginning they had this crown, right, and then they put the porcelain on it, why can't they take this one out of my mouth, send it someplace, have them strip the porcelain off, and put on new porcelain?
They should
Because I
do
think
it.
the getting off process is going to destroy the
Well,
mold.
apparently it's doing it on its own.
Well,
if you
the gold will get disfigured.
If you can put new porcelain on a bathtub, I don't know why you can't put new porcelain on your tooth.
Exactly. And
You'd
I,
have to keep your mouth open.
and I asked her, can we send it out and can they fix it? You know, can they redo it, rejuvenate it? No, can't do that. Can't do that. I'm going to myself, why not? You know, it was that way at one point, and now it's going back to that
Did you ever
way.
hear of bonding? You know, when they bond on a tooth.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
I
why
have
couldn't they do
bonding.
that to the
I have a
to
lot
the
of
crown?
bonding.
Exactly.
I thought that's what they do.
What?
Bonding? Well, bonding they usually do to a tooth, but
No, in other words, when they create the crown,
Right.
I thought they bonded the ceramic component onto the metal.
That is correct.
done under
And
heat, I
what is fallen off here, if you can
It-
see it on
it-
TV, it's very small there.
and you have an
Oops.
effective crown.
Oops,
You
I
just,
just-
had that done
I
recently.
just lost it. I want to say that.
no, I don't think what he had recently was a crown. It was an implant. And implants are one piece of
No.
of item. It doesn't have the gold and the
Once again,
enamel.
Phil is wrong.
Yeah.
You didn't have an implant?
No, I had an implant, but then once they do the implant is the post upon which they put a crown, which is made like any
Okay.
other
There-
crown.
There are machines out now that actually cut the tooth from a laser, and it's part of the post. There's a company called Ivoclar Vivident that makes the machine, and my buddy used to
I
sell
don't
them.
know that you would want that exactly because, and the reason being that you'd want the post to be the implant to be separate from the tooth. Should that tooth start chipping like this or whatever, because then you're going to have to unscrew and pull out the implant
No,
years
that,
later.
that stuff won't chip. It's one block. It's a block of material.
We'll just get you a 3D printed tooth.
Yeah, go out and buy a 3D printer.
Actually,
And
a
send-
3D printer saved me $4,000 the other day. I have this big machine. It weighs 8,000 pounds, and it's to
Well, look,
inspect
I
and
don't
measure
look.
carpet.
I brag about my endowment too, but not that badly.
Well, anyway, what happened was the meter that you press the button that zeros the counter, it broke, and this machine is probably 35 years old. and the part doesn't exist anymore. So I said to the guy, he says, well, it's going to be $4,000 for a new counter. And I says, well, can you just take the broken part and have it reproduced with a 3D printer? And he says, well, I never thought of that. And he did. It was $500, and including all his work, it was $135 for the printing, and saved me $4,000.
No, that's good. That's good. That's terrific. But the point, in fact, is let's get back to the original discussion here. Why can't they just, why can't I send it out and they say, oh, well, we'll fix the tooth. We'll re-porcelain it. And now maybe that might cost me $500, but it's not going to cost me, the $1,750 or whatever that they charge in Manhattan.
I'm going to guess the answer is actually because they don't have the infrastructure available in place for you to just simply pay $500 to get that done. For them to actually, get that to work, they're probably going to, need a little bit more than that.
Maybe it could be that they're trying to gin up the price on everything and say, oh, that can't be done.
Well, the reality is everything can be done. It's all about whether somebody wants to invest the money in it.
Yeah.
And it's not about you investing the money. It's about an actual investor investing the money in this piece of machinery. So if that machinery doesn't actually exist to, relaminate a tooth like that, then it just, your dentist can't do it for whatever the price. You have to be Bruce Wayne in order to create your own machine that laminates your own teeth. And then you establish Wayne Enterprises so that you can make a profit off it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for instance, I've for years have been asking why I have to go to one dentist to get everything done, because I used to have a dentist in San Francisco I liked a lot, but I hated his hygienist. Just hated her. She was mean, she was nasty, I just didn't like her. So I said to him, can I go to another hygienist? And he said, no, you got to use ours. And I'm thinking, how many times you go to your doctor and you got to use his hygienist? You can't go somewhere to like Clean Teeth or Us, right? Some kind of business where you go and get your teeth cleaned, and pick the one that you like and the people you like doing it with. And maybe if there were a lot of these little businesses out there, they would try to undercut each other's prices, and you get a good price on getting your teeth cleaned. So why do I have to have that done there? Why do I have to have my doctor fit me for a crown and literally resell me the crown for double price? I mean, we have no when you go to a dentist, you have no options, and you should have the right to have options. So
I agree. My dental work is actually so incredibly out of this world expensive that I just simply can't afford it, and so I just simply am not going to get my teeth worked on.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, if this were a healthcare industry,
yeah,
we're talking about, I'm not going to have my triple bypass surgery because, I can't afford it.
Well,
so
yeah, by the way, in the doctor industry, if I need a triple bypass, my GP,
you go to the emergency room and they just do it, and they just bill you afterwards.
Well, wait a minute. My GP will send me to a cardiologist, right? Although my GP is a cardiologist, but he'll send me to a cardiologist. Or if I'm having a tough time peeing, he'll send me to a urologist.
Well,
in other words, they become traffic cops,
well, that's
kind
what
of.
they are.
Well, wait a minute. So should your dentist. Your dentist should do the basic stuff, but when it's crowns, hey, let's send you over to Crowns or Us.
That's what Wasserman did.
No. That was implant.
Dentists don't give a shit the way that my medical plan does.
Hey, guys, I'm
I
saying
have Kaiser,
good night.
and they give a little shit. They want me to be better. They don't want to spend as much money as they have to get me better. But the dentist,
you have to remember the Kaiser.
They charge me as much as they can.
Kaiser's original name was doctor-assisted suicide. So.
I've never had anything but positive experiences with Kaiser.
Let's see. My father died at Kaiser.
Well, you're probably going to die anyway.
Oh, wait a minute! You guys got to see something.
No, just stop it, Alex.
Now,
I'm
you're saying
good
it's
night.
time to. She's saying good night, but she doesn't have pants on, so she's crawling. Here, I'm going to move the camera down so you can see her crawling.
Do that.
Huh?
Ooh, 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 ooh.
What? Ooh. Wait a minute.
Camera back.
She is on the ground. Oh my God.
You're on. It's TV
She
night.
looks so real.
Camera back.
Yeah.
Huh? Wait a minute. There she is. She's crawling.
Oh,
Little higher.
You see,
Little higher.
a little higher.
Stop it.
There we go. Where are you anyway? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. What? She's pulling the chair.
Put that back.
What?
Oh,
Put that back. Okay, I'll put the camera back. Okay, you can now. Well, no, they saw you. They saw your underpants.
Nice lookus.
Yeah. I see Paris. I see France. You know. Well, she's back again. They can see you.
Louis too.
Oh.
Oh, she heard that. Sorry, Marjorie. It's the truth.
Well, let's see here. How many people are watching this now? We have a rather large watching audience tonight. No, it went down by 2 people. There are 2 people who didn't get to see her in her underpants. However, they may have seen her in her
People
underpants.
that hung up when they saw
Her in her underpants. Anyways, we
They
could
were
use
the two
some
that
more.
are Skyping in now.
We could use some more calls, folks. Where are some of our other fine people? I know Matt usually calls during the second hour, and Patrick's been calling late lately. Although who knows if he is even going to call at all tonight? But that doesn't.
It's it's hard when you call out people by name. I mean, and then Patrick feels obligated.
No, Patrick, you don't.
Patrick never feels obligated.
Patrick never
Well,
feels
I know
obligated.
Patrick, that's a bad example, but maybe Matt feels a little obligated.
Oh, no,
maybe he's listening and feeling a little guilty that he can't call in tonight or
Matt
something.
calls every night, and he it's greatly appreciated. And if some night he doesn't, he's just not my friend anymore. So anyway.
Well, sometimes I'll listen, but you never call me out, Alex. I mean, I'm like, well, you're not. You don't say my name, so I can't.
Hey, well,
You're
there's
bigger than he is, and he's afraid of you.
There's something
That's
about
okay.
there's something about cats.
The difference is Alex actually wants Matt to call. And Alex never calls us out because he doesn't actually want us to call.
Well,
but
You don't want to talk to me, Alex?
Oh no, I mean I love talking to a whole bunch of people. I mean,
Very 3D.
Huh? Well, but
Cat's very
Cat
3D
is wearing
Watching
3D glasses now. Let me make him a full
You're all
picture.
so
there.
real.
Huh?
You're all so real.
Now they always say those are the 3D
I wonder if in the
glasses.
options here, I can change my video settings to display in 3D only.
Well, you see, the thing is that those are what were called anaglyph 3D glasses. These are not the 3D glasses, even that in the 50s they used in movie theaters. The anaglyph was used prior to 1950. And after that, you started using Polaroid glasses, and the whole. So when they show people like, oh, we're going to go to a 3D movie in the 50s, they put these glasses on them, and that wasn't the glasses they wore. You wore those for comic books.
Hey, Alex,
You know.
try this.
Yeah.
Oh,
What the fuck is wrong with you, Phil? Jeebus.
And we're joined by Josh
For
Wheeler.
fuck's sake, man.
Bastard.
Hi, Josh.
Hi.
How are you this evening?
No, I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Fine. We were just talking about the price of dentistry and the lack of options one has when one wants to get certain work done. The only place, I'll tell you where my dentist will send me. If I have to get a root canal, she'll send me to an endodontist. And if I have to have a implant, she'll send me to a periodontist that I have. And then she's just a regular dentist or whatever. But basically, I mean, I just wish I had a little say-so in the price of the crown, right? And I had a little say-so in where I went to get my teeth cleaned, that I didn't have to use the person that they throw at me. So You know. So what's new, Mr. Wheeler, in the wonderful world of what you've been thinking about?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
I get a rare 2 days in a row off.
Yeah. So do you
that I had to pay for in advance by working the same amount of hours in 5 days as I would have in 6.
Now, do you find it's hard to keep up with the news and everything when you're working that much?
Yeah, especially on the shift that I work, you know, because then I have to sleep during the day. And I, a lot of times, don't feel like making it up for, like, the evening news and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I still have satellite radio, so I usually try and listen to some, like, CNN or MSNBC on the way home. But I can only take so much because they don't cover very much news before they start getting to, like, videos of cats stuck in trees and things like that. So
what's terrible lately, I've found, is like the 6:30 news, which I always kind of relied on as being the recap of the day. Okay, is turned into a bunch of YouTube videos. Like the first 15 minutes of the news is news. You know, it's Hillary Clinton with her mail, and some, you know, Netanyahu with his election, and you know, ISIS attacked here today and there, and then as soon as you hit 15 minutes of it, suddenly becomes kitties on top of trees, and a dog making a funny face, and some girl who's selling lemonade somewhere for a charity, and it's just not news, and they've got a half hour, only a precious half hour to get all this news in, and we get crap. So, you know, that's it. CBS is a little bit better. They go till about 50 before they start getting into those, you know, trivial stories.
There you go again, Alex.
What?
Insulting me. You don't want to see me climb a tree? You don't want video of that?
You know, not every time. May I say something? Not every reference to a cat is talking about you.
I've got an ego, Alex.
What are you talking
come on,
about?
you got an ego.
No, you have the ego of a cat. There's no question about it. Absolutely. Oh, wait a minute. Damien is now gone. It's film noir, is it?
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Jim, you can go black and white, can't you? Huh?
That's right. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Let's just see.
I was hoping to find a 3D setting in the Skype settings there, but it's just not.
Is there actually? Is this a Skype setting you're doing? Well, there's Jim with his.
Yeah, actually, you know, in the options for Skype, you can control your camera settings.
Oh, do you have a Mac or a PC?
Oh, PC.
See, I don't think you can do it.
Why would I have a Mac?
You know why you'd have a Mac? Because you'd want a computer that worked.
Oh, no. I want a computer I can build from scratch and make it work the exact way I want it to.
What are you doing with your fingers? Is that a Matthew McConaughey you're doing there with your fingers?
No, this is my you know, this is my supervillain thingy. You know, it's all very excellent. The computer I've built is far superior to yours.
You need an evil laugh.
Let's see. No,
Jim.
It's pronounced muhaha. Yeah. Anyway, you built your own computer?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I just built my own computer.
I've been building computers for like 15, 20 years now.
Yeah, I was going to do that a few years back because I know how to build a computer. I mean, I know what parts to buy and how you do it. It's not. One would think that it's a big major.
That's easy.
Thing to do, but it's really pretty easy to build
a 386. You know, I built a 386 computer. You go to the store, they had all the parts. You plug them together, and there you were.
Yeah,
basically.
But today, because of the way we have computers, it's probably just better to buy the damn things. You know.
Yeah, they actually
not if
figure
you
out
want-
what parts work.
Well,
best.
I mean, my Mac
Not
here.
if you want a top-end machine.
Well-
If you want a machine that will play every video game on the market, you need to have a top-end machine. And, you know, I've been doing graphic arts for, 20 years as well. And if there's one thing that a computer, you need a faster computer, than graphic arts, it's, gaming. I do 3D renderings that take hours and hours and hours for it to complete. But
What do
that's
you
nothing compared to
what do you use for the 3D rendering?
It would be 30 seconds on
What
Mac.
program do you use for the 3D rendering?
I actually use Lightwave.
That's what
which
I
is
use.
actually an older program and
Yeah.
not what everybody else uses. But it is based on the Video Toaster. It is based on. It is from our friends.
Well, I had
who
friends at
developed it.
NewTek, and so a couple
Exactly.
of years
It's
ago
a
they
NewTek
kept giving me new Lightwaves, and I learned how to use Lightwave. And
Lightwave is what they drew Babylon 5 in, and Star Trek Voyager, and the ending of DS9.
also the movie
And,
Titanic
many of the
utilized it.
many of the television programs that we all love, and Battlestar Galactica was Lightwave.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm trying to think of something newsy to talk about, and that's why I went to Josh, is because I figured Josh would have something in his pocket that's newsy, and it's just it's the same old stuff.
ISIS killed 134 people today in
No, wait a
Yemen.
minute. Which one? We found 100 women named ISIS in the porn industry. Which one was killing these people?
It was ISIS Blue. Your friends from from Libya, I think.
And
It was a Libyan faction of ISIS.
And you know how
suicide bombers.
You know how you know this?
No, how?
Because you went to Drudge, and you looked at one line
And
that
I-
says
and I read
100,
the article.
137 killed, 345 injured in suicide attacks on Yemen mosques.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the way to win over the public.
They keep getting people to join them.
By the way, we're being joined by somebody that have you ever called before, Mark?
Wait a minute.
Mark? Mark? Hello, Mark.
He's got the radio on the background.
Mark, turn down your audio. Well, now we have to wait a minute and a half while he... Hello, Mark?
Yeah.
Mark, can you hear? Oh, yeah, there you are, Mark. Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Turn off your live feed, Mark.
Mark, turn down the audio that you're listening to, and just listen to Skype.
Yeah.
I dare you. I double dare.
How long ago was that signal? How long? That signal must be from
That
an
was
hour
yesterday's
ago.
conference.
That's like 45 minutes away.
There's a tune-in lag.
Turn off the on-demand you've been listening to.
It's hilarious. We're 2015, and we're still telling people to turn down their radio.
Yeah. Mark?
I wore a T-shirt to 7 to walk over to
What's he listening to? It's last night's show. Hello, Mark. Hi, Mark. Hi, Mark.
wrong with you?
Mark, can you hear us?
Cheaper, go to Ruth's Chris.
Mark, what? What the?
Oh, I see him now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let me put him. Yeah, there's Mark.
Let me tell you.
Mark, can you hear us, Mark? Can you hear us, Mark? Mark, can you hear us?
We're just listening to the feed.
Hi, Mark.
All the way down.
Somebody,
He's weird.
can anybody write a quick sign that says, "Mark, turn your audio down and turn your microphone up"? Oh, there you go.
There we go.
It wouldn't have been legal.
No.
On that note, I gotta go.
You got to go. You're going to leave me with this?
I've been replaced. Mark showed up.
I'll send him a chat.
Okay, send him a chat. Okay.
Actually, just say it on the show. He'll catch up with it.
I don't think you can hear it.
Wait a minute. Now he's taking his camera and putting it somewhere.
He's going to show us his tooth.
Huh?
He's going to show us his tooth.
No, but now he can't see himself. It's only his Adam's apple. Are you there, Mark?
Actually, I don't want to leave yet. Hang on.
You're waiting for this to resolve itself, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Very good.
I just sent him a thing.
Okay. Is he seeing
Boy,
it?
this is awesome radio, isn't it?
Huh? This is like, and what's worse, everybody can see who he is. You know.
We're saying go find somebody who's
We're taking screenshots as we speak.
How old is she's still? Girlfriend is still on. That's a half hour ago. Hello, are you there, Mark?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Mark.
There we go.
Did you finally figure out what to turn down? You had all this sound on.
Well, I'm kind of new at this, so
Yeah,
I apologize.
Oh, okay. Well, we had a few minutes of good laughs at your expense on this thing.
Did you get the text message I sent you to turn off the live feed?
No, I just heard the bing.
But I don't know that I would have known what to do if I would have got it.
What were you listening to?
Well, I listen to you guys. I work still for a living, and so I listen to you guys the next day, typically.
Oh, and that's what you were listening to was last night's show.
But well, I get up early, so
Yeah.
but tonight I'm watching the NCAA basketball, so I thought, well, let me see if I can mess around and see if I can figure this out. So
Okay, will you explain to me something about NCAA?
sure.
It's just they make I think it's $42 billion a year. The organization, okay?
Yeah.
They make $42 billion a year between ticket sales and selling the show to CBS and ad sales and, I don't know, bake sales or whatever. And yet all the athletes who are involved in this money-making procedure don't make a penny. In fact, they don't even have health insurance or anything like that. Isn't there something grossly unfair about that? And do you feel guilty about watching it knowing that?
No, I don't feel guilty at all about it, but I agree with you that they should get some they should make some money on this because the colleges are making tremendous amounts of money.
I understood that they're investigating those rules and making some changes to get money to the student athletes.
Well, I mean, I've been an athlete all my life, but I quibble with the notion of student athletes because I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and like literally a mile from Ohio State, and these kids aren't.
Your camera. By the way, your camera shifted. You better move it back up again.
Oops, sorry.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, these kids aren't really students. They're grooming themselves to be professional athletes.
Well, they're grooming themselves to be professional athletes, but they're at that level already, and they're playing for these major teams. But it's basically the question that money is being made off their free sweat and labor, and they say, "Oh well, they're
getting an education."
Well, they're getting an education. They're getting an education, but I don't know if that's completely sufficient to excuse making $42 billion and then not paying the very people who get you that $42 billion.
Well,
something.
I mean, for some of the kids that go to college, it probably is, but there are a lot of other kids that it's not. I mean, if Mark lives in Columbus, I live in Pickaway County, so just about 20 minutes from you.
Yeah. Oh.
So I know you probably remember when Jim O'Brien got fired from Ohio State, the basketball coach, for helping out the Slavic kid. I'm trying to think of his last name now, who was here on a scholarship to play basketball, but basically had no other financial resources, and didn't even really have anywhere to live, and was pretty poor. And he was telling the coach about his family back in Europe where he was from, and Jim O'Brien was kind of giving him money and stuff like that to send home to his family. And you can't give money to one of your athletes, even if it's your own personal money. And he ended up getting fired over it. I mean, he he basically lost his job for doing a good thing, you know. So I mean, I'm sure you remember that when he got fired from Ohio State.
Yeah, I sure do. And I remember when Jim Tressel got fired here recently for lying about these kids selling souvenirs with the, you know, basically,
right,
to make a few bucks and getting tattoos, and it was just, you know, but they're not in school to get degrees. They're here to get on TV and get into the NFL or the NBA or whatever.
And aren't they recruited to these colleges, basically?
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, sure.
So if these colleges then are able to have a good team. So
well, I've got a good friend in Knoxville, Tennessee, and they weren't doing very well. So he told me, he says, we'll pay. We just need to know how much we'll pay to get that kid. You know?
Yeah.
It goes on, but it's just lied about, you know, basically.
Well, you see, but what I don't get about it is I saw this thing. They did it on, was it 60 Minutes they did? I think it was 60 Minutes, where they were talking to some of these players. And the idea is to keep the players having good grades so they can play the basketball, because if they got lousy grades, they wouldn't be able to play basketball, right? So they give them, I think there were like a half a dozen black players who said they all were given a course in Swahili. And they all, of course, passed it.
Well, you know, I mean, I can't even speak Pig Latin, so I don't
yeah, but I
know
mean,
much about languages. But your point is valid.
But they were doing anything.
They don't go to college to learn.
Right.
That's just,
now, granted, they say, hey, some of these guys, you know, are going to be really good players, and along is going to come professional basketball courting them, so to speak. There's a good pun for you, courting them. And they're going to, you know, they're going to be able to cash it in. But something like only 2% of basketball players who play in college ball ever go on to the pros.
That's right. It might even be less than that.
Yeah. So the question is this a new form of slavery?
It's great entertainment. I mean, I love it. I mean, so
yeah.
I don't know if it's slavery, but these kids, I mean, if you play at Ohio State here in Columbus, if you can't make it in the pros, you're still going to be. This city's big enough that you're going to be able to make a living, you know, in some other capacity in this town.
A lot of them going to corporate America. You know.
Yeah, because you know, and Josh can verify. I mean, these kids are celebrities in this town. And
oh yeah, I mean we're still watching Craig Krenzel do commercials for car dealerships, and he won the national championship in football for Ohio State in 2001 or I'm sorry,
2002.
So I mean he still gets money to go do, you know, to just go to a car dealership or a farm equipment dealership, because he was from out in the country and say,
now, but while he doesn't
do it for free,
while he was an amateur. If he were to walk into, say, a Burger King, and he was recognized as one of the great ball players from the local college team, and they wanted to give him a free hamburger, he couldn't take it, right?
He can't do it.
Pretty
much, yeah.
Doesn't that seem absurd? I mean, what is the corruption in that? Does he suddenly become a professional because he got a free hamburger?
Well, I guess the reason that they have the rule in place is to keep deals like that from being struck behind the scenes in order to get a player to come to play at your college. In other words, saying, you know, if you come play at my college,
all the free burgers
I've already got it worked out for you. I've already got it worked out for you where you'll get, you know, free hamburgers, and then I've also got it worked out where you'll get a free car and this and that and so on.
There's got to be
I'd gladly pay you for a hamburger on Tuesday on Tuesday for a hamburger today, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing I don't.
Mine works so much better if you don't stumble over it.
Yeah, if you don't stumble over it. So now
I stepped on my
to correct that joke, here is Damian Chaplin. Damian,
yes.
Correct his joke. Do his joke with the proper timing.
My joke.
Oh, I can't actually do it properly. I'd gladly pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Right.
Yeah. There you go.
How's that?
That's how it's properly done.
Well, thank you very much. You're making fun of my speech impediment. American Disabilities Act, you're not supposed to make fun of me.
Well, you're going to have to provide documentation that this is actually a disability of yours. Otherwise, we're not actually legally required to acknowledge it at all.
That's documentation right here.
You have documentation. No,
Here's my documentation. I can't afford to pay you until Tuesday. What the fuck? I need a hamburger today. I cannot pay you until Tuesday.
Well,
what's the problem?
I had cocktails at Ruth's Chris. That's the problem.
Let me see here. It doesn't seem like there are any other major headlines. Nothing. It's really dead. When's Fox going to make up some more news?
Hey, Alex, my daughter's a piano teacher here in Columbus.
Yeah.
So I passed along to her today your Professor Longhair.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call it a recommendation, but the note. And so I played that song, Rum and Coca-Cola.
Rum and Coke. It's called. Yeah.
Rum and Coke. Yeah, and she loved it. So she's got a wide variety of kids that she teaches. So.
Well, it was he had his own style. These were people, I guess, that never went to school to learn piano. They were kids, and they learned how to play, and they would create their own style. And his style was so loved that a lot of musicians adopted his style of playing, and a lot of them made a lot of money over the years. Longhair, true to the form of these kinds of stories, really never became wealthy off of his trade. In fact, because he was arrested for something, he couldn't work in a cabaret for 10 years in New Orleans. So for 10 years, people didn't hear his music. And shortly before his death, he was allowed to play again. And his music was appreciated, by people like Dr. John, for instance, was a student of Professor Longhair. And Professor Longhair was imitated by Fats Domino, for instance. And people like Alan Toussaint, wonderful work. Yes, Damien.
Well, I didn't actually have any comment on what you were talking about, so I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go right ahead.
Well, no, I just wanted to say, I was kind of hoping that we would hear from Charlie tonight about the exclusively for white people stickers that were found in various Austin stores today. And if
I was just reading about that.
Yes,
what kind of comment he might have on that and how he might feel about that. It's kind of totally absurd that this even happened, but that has absolutely nothing to do with what you were talking about.
Says the man who is doing his program, his call right now in black and white.
Now, 256 Shades of Grey.
256 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't stop to
That's
think
right.
about that.
For colloquially known as
I think there's only
grayscale.
18 shades of gray.
There are 256 shades of gray, and it's colloquially referred to as grayscale.
Okay.
Now, if you want to increase the contrast, Ansel Adams style, then you only get like maybe 16 shades of gray.
How many shades of gray on a grayscale chart?
256. No, 256.
There's 256 colors.
No, 256 shades of gray.
Of gray.
That is grayscale.
That's
you can go.
That's 8-bit color. 8-bit. That's an 8-bit scale.
Exactly, and then 16-bit is 16,000 or 12,000 colors, and then 32-bit is 16 million colors or something.
56 levels is 8-bit. 512 is 16. Why are you making my brain do this right now?
I'm sorry. No, I'm not.
I'm sorry, Mark. It was me.
I even have my photo program open right now.
Evil Dan has something to say.
I was just going to bring up snidely that when I wrote that thing on Facebook the other day, this is exactly why.
Ha ha.
I'm sorry.
What?
You know,
We're talking about how many
I didn't actually see
No,
what that
I'm
was.
not-
I don't even know what the issue is.
Okay,
Oh, Dan,
it's not.
Dan,
It's just never mind.
Dan?
Never mind.
this
Never
is
mind.
what we think of your Facebook posting.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
All right,
What the fuck is Facebook?
Okay, I'm sorry
cats.
about it.
No
because
cats on
I have actually considered.
We don't want to bring it up again.
I've actually considered, especially because of people like yourself, Dan, of canceling my Facebook.
No.
Because
there's a much better option, Alex.
What?
You simply block this person, and you will never, ever, ever see what they have to say ever again.
No. But
and
that's
I
not
will
the
say
point.
that this is exactly why I have no idea what you guys are talking about because I did not see it.
Well,
Never mind.
I blocked
It caused so much.
And I was just going to make a joke, and
It-
I brought up the thing.
All I'm
that's what
saying
happens.
is
brought
that
up the thing, everybody makes a big-
Damien, I
makes it into a big
have eliminated it. I took it off mainly because it hurt a lot of feelings, made a lot of people feel bad, and I think that's what's wrong with Facebook. That it's a form. Facebook can be a form of. That's right, Mark. It's a form of bullying. It's a form of bullying.
Everybody needs to stick up for themselves,
Damien?
just like on the freaking playground. You know, there are going to be bullies on the playground, and you just need to kick the shit out of them. That's what you do with bullies.
I blocked all my haters, and now I don't have anyone contacting me on Facebook.
Well, there you go, Phil. See, that's what happens. That's the downside.
That is the downside.
The whole thing was.
Maybe I should be offended. I don't have any haters.
And I must say, this is the first time I have seen Kat in real life.
Yeah,
become a Republican. You'll have.
And now you can go.
Either.
Now you can go on Facebook and trash
I'll be on
him.
the right.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I can read a couple of headlines and misquote.
Yeah. I told him just become a Republican. You'll get all the haters you want.
Will I make money?
Well, you know,
money.
I've got to say something, Dan. For a guy who says there's not enough politics on Gabnet, I never hear you talk about politics particularly.
Who's that? Kat?
Dan.
Oh, Dan.
Well,
he brings up politics all the time.
I opened the thing. I think what I was going for was it was just a thought that came into my head, and because obviously all the shows in Gabnet, 2 of the 3 distinctly eschew politics, which is a good thing because that's just by design, like I said. And your show's like all over the place. And I was thinking just maybe if there was another show, would there be a more political show that we would want?
Well,
or
to begin with,
I don't know. I'm just
I could never be.
Which is what we do. We have opinions.
I could never be accused of one thing, and that is and I think Mark, you probably agree with this. Everybody agree with this. I do not structure a show.
Absolutely.
If right now Josh wants to talk about something political, and we get into a discussion on it, that's the way it goes. I don't sit here structuring it and telling people necessarily what, I might throw something out. But if I throw out that, ISIS, what a terrible bunch of people, blah, 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 and then nobody picks up on it, I'm not going to force the issue.
And that's what makes your show great, is because it can be the politics, it can be the fun, it can be the different things. What do you want me to say at this point?
Well, what you're saying is why wasn't there a show that just dealt with nothing but politics? And my answer was because it's already, to begin with, that's already being done. But even if
that's true. That's also the point that I don't listen to terrestrial radio anymore. Probably a lot of you do, and maybe I kind of lost how politicized it is. Maybe in my head. I don't know.
No, it's gotten to a point where if you go across the country looking at all the talk stations, Their ratings are terrible. And the reason they're terrible is because there's this droning. It seems to be that it's so all political. That's why this show sometimes gets very political. There've been nights here where we've spent the whole night droning about some particular. But I'm not going to sit here, and I used to say this to Sirius. I said I'm not going to sit there and manufacture grief for the sake of having a discussion. In other words, the talk show hosts go on every day and say, what can I say today to stir up the pot?
Like Ed Schultz.
And so that's why we have this perception of the world being so terrible, and why there's so much divisiveness. If in fact today there is a story, like there was a story with Netanyahu at the UN, I'll talk about it. But, let there be a story. I'm not going to sit there and manufacture one.
I can afford.
It was a big story on Obama and Jackie Mason coming down on Obama. Remember Jackie Mason? I didn't know he was still alive.
That's a big story.
Big story.
Big story.
Hold the back page.
Yeah,
I got a scoop.
Yeah.
Jackie Mason.
Wait a minute. Are you ready? Hold on.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, hold on a second. I think Josh.
I had no idea.
Can somebody shut up, please? I think I saw Josh raise his hand. Josh?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, I guess maybe I missed it or something, but I read what Dan wrote, and it never came across to me that way when I read it. I thought he was just putting out like a what-if type, thing, and I guess I heard from last night some people took it the wrong way or whatever. And if they did, I don't know who it was. I couldn't hear you last night.
Well, to be honest with you, Dan wasn't the terrible one. It was this guy Shane who answered you, who I've actually defriended, who became downright insulting about certain people here. Not me. Not me.
No, I read through the forum, and there was a guy on there who insulted me. Big whoopee. I just let it. Whatever. Some people would like that very structured deal, and some people wouldn't. That's just the way it is.
If a show developed that was political, that would be fine. We've on occasion talked with you, Josh, about it, and I could see doing it, but I don't know how we make it different from everything else that's being done.
That's true.
Yeah.
Of course,
well, I suppose the one way that. I suppose the one way that it would be different is it would have this this format with the participation of the people, rather than just the call, say you're 30 seconds apiece, and then no, you're wrong and the host is right. That's probably the one major thing, is it would still allow it to keep the GabNet mantra, if you will, I suppose. But I think most people basically said they were fine as is, but adding more probably wouldn't hurt. But I guess my point was I just didn't take what Dan said the way other people did. I never thought anybody would, but I guess.
Yeah. Well, Jim and Miranda aren't going to particularly get political because they're not political by nature.
Oh, by design, and that's
fantastic. I've heard Miranda get political when it's come down to things, especially in technology, right? Kat, am I pretty well characterizing it? But
yeah, she's very passionate about technology.
Yeah, but
personally, I don't give a damn about politics. I've got my own opinions on them, and I just don't like to share them all that much.
Why don't you like to share them?
Probably because they piss people off. And
that's precisely the reason why you should do it. Because there is a guy right now on screen, on my screen, sitting next to you, named Phil Meyer, who we do everything we can to piss him off.
And he keeps coming back.
He keeps coming back for more. That's why I like Phil.
Yeah.
You can't piss me off.
We've been old friends for years, and I can't even remember being old friends of his for years. So
you couldn't remember.
I just think if I give my own opinion about certain things, that it'll change your perceptions of how I am. I don't know.
No, it won't.
Maybe I don't want to piss people off. Maybe I do. Maybe I want to piss people off, but I'll keep on the.
Why do you feel? Now, you never do get political, but why do you feel that politically you would piss people off? What is it that you have as an opinion?
Ooh, we got to hear this.
This
is going to be good.
Yeah, this is
juicy stuff
that would piss people off.
Give me what
He's
you
the
got,
one who put
Texan.
those signs up in Austin. That's what it is.
I respect him already because he drives a Lincoln Town Car.
What was that, Phil?
I said I like you already because you drive a Lincoln Town Car. You know, you don't kowtow to those hybrid types.
The thing about Cat is that Cat has this
no pun intended.
has this rather gentle Texas accent. And so I would imagine that if he were to spout Nazism, for instance, he could do it in a way that wouldn't offend anybody.
Yeah, it would
do it in a way that might make
actually
the Nazis sound sympathetic.
Yeah.
It would actually pull
Can we
everyone
please hear
into
that?
my own opinion.
What'd you say?
All you have to do is listen to my voice. Listen to what I have to say, Alex.
Hitler actually managed to do that for a couple of years.
And then he got cranky, huh?
Right. And he started yelling.
There are 5 lights.
Didn't he? Correct me if I'm wrong. You know a bit about Hitler, don't you? You probably studied him, Josh. How can you not study politics without, wasn't he? He really had a very ineffective speaking voice, and he got taught by, and I'm trying to remember who taught him. I think it, in fact, was a hypnotist. Houdin, I think. I can't remember who the guy was.
What?
But he literally was trained to change the way he spoke and the way he presented himself standing at a podium. Up until that time, he wasn't making much noise, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean that specifically. I do know he had some form of transfiguration, if you will, because he was a pretty awkward young guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a pretty awkward guy up until he became politically involved, and as he became politically involved, he became more polished as the years went on.
Yeah.
He wrote the Mein Kampf, and that was sort of his plan of what he was going to do. Did that help him find focus?
Actually, I don't know if it was so much a plan of what he was going to do, but the history of his life, because Mein Kampf means my struggle.
My story.
My struggle.
And I believe, and I may be wrong, somebody may have called correct, but I think he wrote that while he was
in prison.
In prison,
correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a banned book in this country for many, many years.
They're actually, I just read a story like 4 or 5 days ago. They're actually talking about allowing that to be printed again in Germany right now. It's still banned there, as far as I understand, and there's a big debate right now. About
everything Nazi is banned.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the guy I was thinking of. His name was Erich Jan Hannesson, and he was. Let me see here. An Austrian Jewish publicist, charlatan and clairvoyant performer who lied about his origins. He acclaimed in his lifetime, it was acclaimed in his lifetime as a hypnotist, mentalist, occultist, and astrologer, and he was active in the Weimar Republic and also the beginning of Nazi Germany, and he's said to have instructed Adolf Hitler in performance and the achievement of dramatic effect.
There's a Werner Herzog film based on that character.
Yes. And who did it star? I remember the movie.
Good movie, too. And it's about 2 characters. He's one of them, and then there's a strong man.
Yes.
And how he took 2 interesting characters and played with that. But it was interesting.
Yeah. But this was the guy who taught Hitler to, how you stood at the podium and stand back. And, I mean, you watch Hitler speak, you learn something. You know who I think learned something from watching Hitler speak, oddly enough, was Billy Graham. If you ever watch Billy Graham, he would do the same thing. He would have the same stance on stage as he was talking, and the same use of his arms and so on.
Yeah, but you know who nailed him really bad? I mean, really, really nailed Schicklgruber. Were the Warner and Disney animators. Oh my God, they really, you could tell they looked at those films, they looked at Triumph of the Will, and they went, really? Oh, we're going to have fun with this. and they did.
Well, and that's a good question. I mean, we used to portray these people in cartoons as well. And does that trivialize them? I mean, to a point, I'm not talking about that we shouldn't trivialize these people and make them ineffective. But by making fun of them, didn't we make them cartoons? Didn't we trivialize what they were doing?
It made it feel as if during the war, we did it in Vietnam, we did it in World War II against the Japanese, against the Germans. They were portrayed in such a way that made them less than human and easy to kill. And I don't know. I think that's the propaganda that they created to allow this kind of stuff to happen.
Well,
Vietnam, they call them gooks, zipper heads, all sorts of things to trivialize.
We don't seem to do that. We don't seem to do that anymore. Like we don't have like these racist names for jihadists,
raghead, and that kind of stuff.
No, because
towel heads. Yeah.
Well, to begin with, the towel heads would be the Indians, but
well, what's his name? The ventriloquist with Ahmed, the dead terrorist.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
Which is pretty funny.
My favorite cartoon ever is one of the ones that Warner Brothers, I think to this day, does not. I don't think you can find it in any of their collections. Maybe you can't. It's usually put out by people who are putting out unauthorized versions of these cartoons.
It's on YouTube.
Well, of course it's on YouTube. But Bugs Bunny Nips the Nip is the perfect example.
Oh boy, yeah.
Of taking of making them racist. To begin with, all the Japanese in that film have buck teeth, and we're wearing glasses, right? And Bugs Bunny, at one point in the cartoon, in order to get the Japs, so as they're called in the thing, in order to get them, loads up a bunch of ice cream bars with grenades. And then he comes by in a good humor truck and starts passing them out, saying terms like, "Here you go, Slant Eyes. Here you go, Yakamoto. Here you go, Gorilla." I mean, every racist name they could come up with. And you go, wow, that's what we did. That's the way we won a war, was by just making everybody as racist as hell.
Yeah. Well, and it's what we've always done. To trivialize the enemy.
Yeah. Then they had Hair Meets Hair, which was the German version, but not as racist, because it's harder to be racist against somebody who's white.
They're white people.
Yeah.
They're still my favorite, Russian Rhapsody.
I think, yes, I remember that. Yeah.
That's the one that Bob Clampett on full Bob Clampett mode. Just like
everybody was stretching.
Oh, God, as an animator, I look at that and I just feel the pain. It's like, how can people actually do this kind of stuff now? It's like,
yeah.
But that's where I said, that's where they watched that footage of Hitler and they said, we're going to make fun of this guy, and boy did they.
But the question is, how wrong was that? Not necessarily in retrospect, but at the time, wasn't that wrong of us to do?
Of course.
But at that time, we didn't look at it as being wrong. It played in movie theaters.
But at that time, we put Japanese in internment camps.
Or the reverse question is, have we become too sensitive?
No, I think what we did during World War II with the Japanese was unconscionable.
Okay. What about, but aren't we getting a little overly sensitive when somebody makes a remark and then we try to attribute to it a racist connotation when that isn't what the person meant in the first place? But
only if I do it.
But he loses his job over it?
It depends on, I mean, you got to look at maybe something like that on a case-by-case basis. I can't think of anything specific that you're meaning, but, obviously there are things that I hear, especially when it comes to Obama, because Obama is hated much more than he deserves to be, I guess. But and I think there's race in that, and the racists know, thanks to political correctness, have learned how to put their racism in the proper code so they can have plausible deniability.
Yeah.
And then they get so sensitive when you call them racist.
Yeah. Since Mark is new to us here and we want to make him feel comfortable, is there anything you want to add to any of this, Mark?
Yeah, I know a little bit about this topic. I was actually a helicopter pilot in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And in going through the training I went to before I went overseas, the Vietnamese were referred to by all the instructors as Gook and Charlie and other terms to just dehumanize people, so that people like me, who was like 20 years old, wouldn't have too much trepidation about killing these people, because they weren't the same as us. They weren't equivalent to us.
Yeah.
So I think there was some method to the madness, but when you're a young kid, you don't know any better. So.
But you know what's interesting about war like that, where we send somebody, that was an especially gruesome war. I mean, as wars go,
50,000 dead. 50,000 dead 20-year-olds.
Yeah. I mean, but a gruesome war, jungles and just horrible. And also what we did to the other side as well. But then you take these people and you put them out there in the middle of the jungle, and you have them kill anything that moves, that looks like it's not you, and then you send them back home, and you go, well, turn off the kill switch. Isn't that a little hard to do? I mean, didn't you come back still kind of on a razor's edge?
Maybe I'm just not sensitive enough, but I never had those incidents where people my friends welcomed me back home. Yeah. So I never had any of that negative. But I will say this: I when I got back, I went to work for my dad in a business that I didn't like, and so when I tried to go on to do whatever I ended up doing, I took out of my resume the fact that I was in Vietnam, because I thought that people might think I'm crazy. And so that is, probably shouldn't have been necessary to do, but I thought it was real. And
when I did police work, and we saw some of the things that we saw just during the course of our duties, we'd have something called church, where after the shift was over, we would kind of just go and hang out and chat and tell jokes, a lot of them off color, just to be able to get through some of the things that we saw during a day in the police work. Now, I can't imagine what it would be like being on a helicopter or in Vietnam doing the things you were doing. I don't know if you were a medevac or if you had a gunner, or but it's you almost have to dehumanize it and joke about it to be able to get through it and stay sane.
No, I was actually a Cobra pilot in an air cavalry unit. So
wow.
And I was in the Delta, which is the south part of Vietnam. And the problem we had was we couldn't tell, and I was there at the end of the war. So the people that we were fighting against were the Viet Cong, who wore civilian clothes. So you can't tell who's friend and foe. So we had this strange process of flying what's called loaches, which are small helicopters that they flew at treetop level to draw fire, and then the notion was if they shoot at us, well, then they're bad. And that must be a little bit how it is in Iraq, that you can't tell who the good guys are from the bad guys. So that's a really stressful position to put
20-year-olds.
Let me ask you.
Today's Army, I think, is older, but then it was 20-year-olds.
Let me ask you an interesting question. I asked this of somebody who had been in Vietnam once, and the answer they gave me was very interesting. If you were to say what movie best represented what it was like in that war, would it be Apocalypse Now or would it be Platoon?
Probably a little bit of both, but most guys were like me, and I don't think they had like a lot of mental problems with it. It's funny that you can do this and take it so. I couldn't do what I did then. Now, my emotions would get in the way. But when I'm 20 years old, they didn't get in the way, and I felt like I was like invincible. But there were guys that I knew that lost their mind, and flew under bridges and just did crazy things because of what I don't know what, but it got to them.
Yeah.
And there were some guys I knew that were literally afraid. Wow. And you could see it in their face when we got up to go flying in the morning that they feared that they wouldn't come back, but doing what I did was
but the responsibility you must have felt as a pilot to get them back alive, because you're piloting the helicopter.
Well, I'm basically in the safest spot there is to be, because the Cobras flew at 1,500 feet above the ground, whereas these guys that were drawing fire were literally flying
the Hueys.
Yeah.
So.
With the Hueys or the Hughes aircraft.
I flew. Everybody that flies a helicopter in the Army in those days qualified in a Huey first. And then some people went to get qualified in other aircraft, and I got qualified in a Cobra just by chance.
Getting back to my original question, the answer I got from somebody who'd been in the Vietnamese War said the two answers are the war looked like it did in Platoon if you were standing there watching it. All right.
There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. I come from a pretty Republican family, and felt like my parents and my father and my uncles, were all World War II veterans.
But then he said to me, "But Apocalypse Now is what the war looked like from inside your head."
I think that's true. I think that's very true. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
But for me, it wasn't like I went crazy. It was like I was disappointed.
What were you disappointed?
And that probably had to do with a lot with the fact I was there at the end, and there was no sense of like you're going to lose your life for some purpose. The cast was drawn, and so but it was. Made me a cynical person, but I got through that.
Yeah, boy, something to go through.
So what do you do in Columbus now?
I appraise real estate. Another crazy job.
So if you live a mile from High State, so you must live up Arlington, or
I live in Clinton.
Yeah, okay, all right. So like north, a little north.
3 Ohioans here.
What's that?
Yeah,
3 people from Ohio.
Ohioans.
Wow, yeah. We're very big on Ohio tonight. By the way,
you got Dan, Josh, and now Mark.
Well, here's something I always like to look at. Let's see where people are listening to us from right now. It's funny. Usually we get a lot of different countries. Tonight it's only a lot of people in Canada tonight, and somebody in China. A couple of people in China. So
they're watching you.
Some nights, we're, South Korea, India. It's amazing where we get listeners from. So, where do you stand politically today,
Mark?
Me? Mark Green, yeah.
Pretty much to the left.
Mm-hmm.
I just think I'm more probably to the right as far as fiscally,
yeah,
but socially I'm to the left. And I've just been kind of like felt like we haven't been leveled with for, because of my early experiences in life. We haven't been leveled with by politicians very well.
Well, are you not being leveled with by politicians, or do you feel that the government lies to us?
I feel people lie to us, and they happen to be in political positions.
Yeah.
I don't think the government is necessarily essentially bad.
What were you going to say? What were you saying, Damien?
Well, I was just saying that the government, for better or for worse, is comprised of people.
Yeah.
And people are, as he said, morons.
Well, as Bill Hicks put it, we're a virus with shoes. So
we're a virus with shoes. Yeah. Well, sometimes I wonder, we always love the idea that we get to vote for the people who take over our government. And yet, why is it that no matter who we vote for, the government basically never changes? There's no radical shift one way or another in the winds of politics. Josh, what do you think?
Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Thank you very much. But aside from anomalies, Josh, I mean, why is it, do you think, that no matter I got to feel frustrated that no matter who I vote for, doesn't matter whether I vote for the Republican or the Democrat, we're pretty much going to get the same crap.
New boss is old boss.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's pretty aggravating. I just think we need to vote for different people.
But how do we change that? What is wrong with the way our government exists that makes it impossible for us to get anything done or to change anything? Or that I know that when I go to the polls and I want to change things and this guy says he's going to change it and I vote for him and God damn it, he gets into office and he changes it. What's wrong with our system that just doesn't happen?
I don't necessarily know that there's anything wrong with the basic structure of our system. I think it's worked for a very long time, and it's worked pretty well. Especially considering the fact that it's held up a real democracy for probably the longest period in the world. But I do think it's the people. I mean, but I think that it's run by a very small group of people that we continually choose from. And I guess we keep allowing it to happen. We're just going to have to choose different people from a different pool of people until we decide that that's what. But I think it's disinterestedness and it's laziness on behalf of the people as a whole. That's just my opinion.
I saw a very. By the way, Tony has joined us. Hi, Tony.
Hey, Alec.
Yeah.
I was gonna, can I chip in after you say something?
Yeah, sure. Say. What were you gonna say?
Well, because I was thinking about what you said, like when you vote somebody in, it always seems like everything stays the same. Maybe because this is how I see it. I could be totally wrong, but maybe because look at past history when we had the same government in place or just different regimes for us. Yeah. You had slavery. That was wrong on every level. Yeah. You had women's rights. They couldn't vote. That was wrong on every level.
Yeah.
So they've gotten a lot of things
the women's rights weren't wrong on every level, but not having...
But it was a long...
And we voted these people in, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like, now I'm saying to myself, I'm not the brightest guy, but... They didn't want women to vote. They didn't want colored people to sit in front of them.
But it's also a question of perception.
But they'll go fight for a war.
I was watching a very good documentary that PBS did on on the American experience about the 12-day trip that Khrushchev took to America. He was invited by Eisenhower to come to the United States. And, of course, that was right in the middle of the big Red Scare, and everybody was afraid of the commies.
We will bury you.
And now Eisenhower has invited this commie to the United States. And one of the comments they made was, one of the talking heads on the show was, the problem with that period of time is that we as Americans felt that a bunch of people, the Russian people, were being run by just a handful of people, like Khrushchev and so on, and forced into slavery under a communist system. And the communists felt that Americans were being ruled by a very small group of capitalists and forced to work as slaves for the corporations.
It's not really that far off.
So really, our perceptions of each other were that the masses were slaves.
We just don't know it.
But we were slaves to the corporations, and they were slaves to the system.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but look how much things have changed, though, because of the way the media and talk radio and everything covers things. Because, I mean, can you imagine if Obama were to invite Putin to come over here on a 10-day tour and take him and show him around? I mean, people would just absolutely go, ape shit. And I wouldn't put Putin in the same level of troublemaking ability as, Khrushchev or some other worldly. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well,
I mean, I think that's the difference.
Oddly enough,
then,
this documentary kind of pointed out that Khrushchev was actually a peasant. He only had 3 grades of education, and he was a peasant. And when he got out to Iowa and places like that and met the farmers and everything, he loved them. He got along with them. They got along with him. That there was a lot of commonality there. And the
I don't think Khrushchev personally was. I don't think Khrushchev personally was quite as radical as he got painted in the States at that current time. Right. I mean, it was other people in there. He was. It was no different than in the United States. I mean, he was at the behest of the people who worked under him, just like Eisenhower and Kennedy and everybody else. But I just mean, I don't think the opposition at the time was as much where, I mean, Eisenhower invited Khrushchev over, and I'm sure there were some people who had some things to say about it, but I guess what I'm saying is, can you imagine if Obama invited Putin over right now?
I was thinking about that when I was watching this. Yeah, I'll tell you something. They told a great story about Khrushchev, that he was giving a speech in Moscow, and somebody sent a question up to the podium, and the question and he read the question, and the question was, you were one of Stalin's inner circle, which he was. And knowing what Stalin was doing, why didn't you do something about it? And he then said, well, I'll answer the question by first saying, would the person who just sent this note up please stand up? And when nobody stood up, his answer was, that's why I didn't do anything. He had a sense of humor, and he was a lighter touch, and Americans he didn't want a war. That was the last thing in the world he wanted. That's why he came to the United States in the first place. But still, the press and everybody were ginning up this anti-communism, and it was impossible for him to even get his point across. But anyway, we're getting close to the end of the program. What time is it? Oh, it's getting there.
3 minutes, 2 minutes?
About 2.5 minutes
2.5
left.
minutes.
Yeah. Any last words, Josh?
No, I was just going to say I was surprised Mark there didn't decide to drive a couple miles down the street and see the basketball in person at Nationwide Arena.
I have a TV.
Damien? Anything? Your cat in back of you, does it have anything to say? The cat's been putting on quite a show there tonight, by the way.
Frankie, you got anything to say?
Yeah. Tony, any last words?
No, I don't have to say.
Okay. Mark, how about you?
Yeah, I have one last word. One thing that I found really incredible about this show is that you can't remember Phil from these early days. I still cannot figure out how that's possible.
I know that I knew Phil. I just
he blacked me out.
Your personality was so dull.
I was one of the few people you could trust.
Mark,
it's kind of like the opposite of how you remember a traumatic experience.
Mark with a C. Anything?
Nah, nothing. I'm just enjoying this conversation.
Phil.
Yeah.
Anything to say?
It just strikes me funny that 50 years ago, the communists worked for the government, and the system. And now today, we Americans are in the same position that the communists were 50 years ago. We work for the government.
Okay. All right.
Keep the government in place.
And with his 3D glasses on,
For the record, my pop filter is as big as my head.
Okay. And thank you very much, Kat, for showing yourself to us tonight. And
yeah, you saw the whole show in
and
3D tonight.
Big meow goes out to you, and of course, thanks once again, Dan, for calling as well. All right. Yeah. Hey, thank you all. It's been a good show tonight. We'll
Mark's very interesting. I enjoyed
please
having.
Call us again, Mark.
Yeah,
please call.
Good story there.
Just a treat.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. You guys are fun.
Okay, great. Well, now that you know how to do it more.
Well,
take care.
I got to do it once.
Okay.
Don't be a stranger.
Okay. Bye. That's it. Pretty much. I'm Alex Bennett, and that's our program for tonight. We'll see you again on Monday. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Thanks a lot, Mark. I really appreciate it. And come back and see us again. Really, it's great. And you too, Kat. Oh, good night.
Nice seeing you, kitty cat.
Good night, all you people.
Meow.
Meow.
Okay. Stop. Oh, I see.